He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall, and I guess you just rhyme with Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Forever, the podcast where we flail to catch every single minute of Joel Schumacher's Batman Forever before plummeting to certain doom. It is I, Niall McGowan.
And it is I, John Parker, the good friend of true justice.
Thank you for joining us, John. You've always been a good friend.
Oh, that line is so beautiful.
Well, actually, I was going to describe the minutes, but I have to introduce the guests first. We have returning from the previous 2 minutes. We have from Dog Hair Presents, Rory Spence.
Hello.
I didn't realize that rhymed before there now. Like Dog Hair Presents, Rory Spence.
That sounds like you're doing the bingo numbers, you know.
Yeah.
I've been doing it 3 years and never known it names, so...
Gonna have a way flashier intro now. And all the way from inside your computer, if you owned a computer from the early 1980s, from Chronologically Speaking, it is Duncan Shields.
Hello. It's good to be back. Thanks for having me back.
Hey.
You know, I was just thinking now with binary language and Two-Face, ones and zeros, and there you go.
That's actually the thing too. Like, would you say the effects, in comparison to that, the Riddler's head getting melded, had the effects of Tron aged better than the effects of Batman Forever? Now?
These effects are good.
Because the short answer is yes, because it's concept over content. Like the concepts of Tron, the paintings, the ideas, and the execution, of course, is wanting because it's from '82, but the actual concepts of it and the just the sort of really out there beautiful ideas that they tried to recreate, those super duper hold up. A lot of the background paintings, as dated as the actual CG is, the conceptual work is so strong from Sid Mead and Mobius that it still really holds up.
But yeah, we're here today to talk specifically about minute 114. And at the beginning of minute 114, hey everybody, Harvey Dent's back. He's showing up. I haven't seen him since the start of the movie, but he's back for this couple of seconds.
Harvey! Suddenly, a wild Two-Face appears.
Ah, yes.
And it ends 1 minute later. It ends 1 minute later with the Riddler in some wreckage. So,
Ooh, nah, man, looking rough.
That's the thing, because this now is like, what? Okay, it's kind of tough to deal with this minute without getting cutting to the quick with it.
Well,
really.
no, we can. You want to go through it chronologically, or do you want to get to the end? Because we can go through it. Well, whatever you want to do.
Well, the first thing we get here is Harvey Dent. The actual Harvey Dent side coming out of Two-Face and him saying like, oh yes, emotion is the enemy of true justice. Thank you, Bruce. You've always been a good friend.
I love that delivery.
I love that because this is the delivery that I wanted. I'm just like, oh, where were you for the rest of the film? You're fantastic. This yes, of course you're right, Bruce. Emotion's always been the enemy of true justice. Thank you. You've always been a good friend. I'm just like, oh, come on, more of that.
Yeah, something else is creeping through, isn't it? Dent is there. Finally.
Yeah.
It's a calm restraint, but an emotionless ability to do what the coin tells him to do, no matter how horrific or brutal. The
fact he says Bruce as well, like it implies like more history between Harvey Dent and Bruce Wayne than we've actually seen on screen.
It indicates that yes, this is an element that was never addressed at any other point in the movie when Two-Face found out that Batman was Bruce Wayne.
Yeah.
We were so focused on the Riddler side. Was there no element of Harvey Dent? It's like, I know Bruce Wayne. Me and Bruce Wayne were tight. Like,
we're
he
pals.
Was Batman. Is like, he would be going through his own whole story of like, I can't believe this guy. Like, my arch enemy is a guy I've known for friggin' years. This is huge to me. But
A, you lied to me, and B, well done. I've known you for years, and I'm like a DA.
And I think this is why. I think we've said before now, really the villain's downfall in this should be they turn on each other. And I think
Yeah.
part of it should stem from his relationship with Bruce.
Well, that's the thing, like, because I don't think I've ever really felt properly passionate about it, but like actually in doing notes for this minute, I do find Two-Face's fate in this movie to be a very cynical move and a very something I don't think if I was developing the script I would have gone down this road.
It's cheap. I think it's a little cheap.
It's kind of lazy as well. It's delivering a mixed message because. Well, the thing is, like, yeah, Dick Grayson doesn't. He was the bigger man. He didn't kill Harvey Dent when he had the chance, and now it's like Bruce Wayne is doing it for him, so he still gets the revenge. It's okay because Batman killed him, and then there's a whole other friggin' thing of like, well, is Bruce Wayne doing this? Because again, yeah, he's like, oh, you've always been a true friend, Bruce, and all this other thing. Is he maliciously trying to kill Two-Face now? Is he going there like, yeah, he'll reach for that and he'll fall down and die?
This is straight murder.
Yeah.
He knows what's going to happen. He just killed Two-Face. And this whole look that Chris O'Donnell gives, watching the whole thing, eyes wide open, and he looks like he's loving it. It looks like he's thinking, I have the strangest boner right now. Like, like. Now, I forget, did Two-Face kill his parents in this movie?
Yes,
Yeah.
He killed Dick Grayson's parents, yeah.
So that's why Robin is so into this
I like his acting,
straight
though,
up
'cause
murder.
I think it comes across like he's happy, but he's like conflicted. He's like happy, he's annoyed, he's shocked, he's scared, he's relieved. It's kind of all those things.
He's just like, at the end of the day, oh, we do get to kill people. All right.
I'm glad you all said that, though, because that was my note. Like, okay, it's cool taking down a villain with their Achilles heel. That's always fun.
Yeah.
But he's basically murdered him. He knows he's going to fall.
If he like fired out a rope to catch him or something like that right after he did it and strung him up, that would have made it a lot better, you know?
Yeah.
I think my main problem with it is that it is like Batman. Well, the thing is, you know, so many problems I have with it, really. But like, again, in the extended Red Book cut, there's a whole thing where the thing that starts Bruce Wayne's flashbacks and the reason he's so mentally troubled throughout the whole movie in that version of it is that Two-Face says to him, "You're no better than me. You're a killer too." So then for him to go and kill Two-Face, it's just like him going, "Yeah, all right, fair enough." Harvey.
Well, it's all they needed was a reason. They needed a way for Harvey Dent to never be able to reveal that, like, Batman's identity.
Yeah, but that seems to be it. Yeah, there's like, we need an out for this character. But then it is just like, because even what they're doing here with like the methodology of like Batman has a load of coins that he just throws up at Two-Face knowing
which is so funny because he's like, well, I remember when he said you're always of two minds about everything. I remember at the time thinking that Batman was just going to go with it. Like, I thought Batman was going to let it all ride on Harvey Dent's coin flip. I was like, balls of steel, you know? Like, both on Batman's part and the director and the writer's part. I was like, holy Moses, this movie just took a turn for the high quality, you know? But no, Batman pulls a handful of change out from behind him like Bugs Bunny style. Like, he's like, if you can pull anything out of thin air as long as you do it from behind you. This angle really is just like, well, how about this handful of change? It's like a magic trick, you know? But the angle, when he's holding the change, that angle really highlights the bat pouch on the costume as well, if you see that.
Oh, we get a big close-up of that crotch.
Yeah.
You have to wonder too, how far in advance did he know he was going to do this as well? It's like, has he always been carrying around these dollars, or like, if I ever get close enough to him, you just throw a bunch of coins at him and you're fine. Like, I do this all the time with Two-Face. It's fine.
This is my. That would be so funny if this was like the 15th time he's just thrown a handful of coins.
Or it could be like, oh no, this is all my change for like the toll booths on the way back.
He obeys the laws of the road.
Well, it's like silver dollars, isn't it? They're not that commonly used, so
No,
it's definitely
Well, especially, does he have a handful of 15 or 20 two-headed silver dollars that are scarred on one side?
Oh, yeah, he's made them. He sat all night making them, like, scratching.
Actually, I've just paused on the shot where he's holding them, and it does look like one's scratched, like the front one.
Yeah,
it's his little craft
I think he's
project.
literally got. This is his Two-Face out.
Yeah.
This is his Two-Face emergency escape plan.
he doesn't know the exact the exact circumstances. So he's like, I need to make replica coins because he might be able, because he doesn't know they're just gonna be flailing down around him in a giant tube. So he's like, he's not gonna look at them that closely. But
and Batman. Yeah, he's got loads of them back at the cave. He's like, I thought maybe this was going to go on a bit longer. I've made like thousands of these things. So he's selling them on his Etsy, everybody. Get onto his Etsy.
Harvey Dent memorial coins now that he's dead. It's like, that's why I had to kill him, because these things would be worth nothing if he was alive.
It's a conspiracy.
We would be remiss as well if we didn't say, and this is, again, one of the things that starts getting in my craw about this, is that this is a little thing swiped from the animated series of Batman just throwing a load of coins up, and it just confusing the hell out of Two-Face. Because in the first Two-Face story, called Two-Face, in that he's confronted with him, Batman's injured, and he's in a casino, I believe. And there's it's a register thing behind him full of coins. And they're just standing in a normal room, basically. But he's just he pulls the same trick, and then he just lifts up the thing and hoists it at Harvey, and then it's just coins everywhere, and he's just down on the floor going, "Where's my coin? I need my coin. I can't do anything without it," and stuff. Has a complete breakdown, and that's how they subdue him and stuff.
I like that kind of reliance. I also like that we start off Two-Face realizing that Batman is talking about the coin. Yeah. And that Batman's right. So he looks down at his hand, and you get this nice little ting kind of sound effect. He's, as he's looking at the coin, he's almost you can almost see a little light bulb going off above his head or something like that.
That was from the light bulb from the earlier draft.
Yeah, that's right.
Again, too, because you were saying they've already taken something from the animated series. They've taken a lot of things from the animated series in this movie, and they will continue to do so throughout the Schumacher run. But another Two-Face episode of that show is the one I think I mentioned last minute, Second Chances. And at the end of that, when Two-Face is subdued, he's taken back to Arkham, and Bruce Wayne is there at the front door to meet him. And Harvey kind of looks at him and he's like, "Oh, Bruce, you're a good friend. You've never given up on me, have you?" And Bruce is like, "I never will, Harvey." There's always that hope that the whole friggin' point of the character of Harvey Dent is this is a guy who's fallen from grace, and Batman will bend over backwards, always believing that he can redeem Harvey Dent. And if you've been given the task by, the studio, where they were like, that Tim Burton movie, that last one, that was way too dark. You need to lighten this up. And, the last climax of the movie had Batman confronting someone who was supposed to be the love of his life, and Selena Kyle, and saying you can just give all this up, and love can conquer all. We can go off and live in a castle like a fairy tale and all that kind of thing. And then she scratches his face and go no, that's not going to happen. But love doesn't win, and she ends up killing Max. Shrek disappears. Everyone's left heartbroken. It's a real bummer of an ending. If you're then told by the studio, lighten that up, and you're given, here's Bruce Wayne's friend, who is a guy who's fallen from grace and looks like he's unforgivable. But at the end, even with Dick Grayson there, who was determined to kill him and decided he wasn't going to do it, wouldn't the logical thing be that Batman reaches out to Harvey in this moment, and then the Harvey side wins over, and he's like, "No, I'm not going to do it. Okay, I give up," or whatever. He'll just not do the thing.
That's how anyone else would write it.
It'll be there's your lighter ending. It's there is hope. There's hope for Harvey Dent. There's a hope for everybody.
The two options should be that the coin comes up unscarred, so he lets them go, which is anticlimactic, I get, or it comes up scarred and he tries to kill Batman, but Batman defeats him without killing him, in the hope that he will get rehabilitated. Those seems those should be the two options, right? Well, actually, because Batman's merciful. Right?
I think you said it, Rory. Actually, didn't you say he should, as Two-Face falls, he should sort of throw out a grappling hook or something?
Yeah, well, he's already proved he can stop someone falling. From this thing, so he could do it again. But
he's consciously not saving Two-Face from falling to his death at this point.
Maybe you could argue that he didn't know he was going to fall when he threw all the coins. He thought he might just drop his coin and then not know what to do.
He's precariously balanced on a beam. It's not just this movie, though, that has this problem, because every Batman does this. We've mentioned before, Batman Begins, he does this.
Yeah. That's why does Two-Face keep getting killed in his cinematic incarnations?
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, this is as a great returning villain. They're like, no, we got to keep. Particularly Chris Nolan, he has no excuse. That was just like, why have you killed him off? Why wouldn't you bring him back? No, he's dead. Like,
I remember I
why
kept
is he
looking.
dead?
I kept looking at his chest. I was like, "Is he breathing? He's got to be breathing. This can't he can't actually be dead." Chris Nolan couldn't have
insane.
like just introduced him, especially with like Aaron Eckhart, who I think is a pretty decent actor. I'm like, you just introduced him, and now he's dead. What? What? You know, like.
But yeah, so the fact that this whole movie as well has been like Bruce saying like, "Oh, don't kill Harvey. It won't get you anything," and then I'll kill him for you.
Yeah.
Like, what is this? What is the moral we're supposed to get out of this?
This is how it's done. Yeah, it was a very bad. But like when he throws up all the coins like that, it freaks out Two-Face and he loses his balance. But I get it as a metaphor for having options to choose from. This is pretty bleak. Like, if you have more than one choice, you'll freak out and fall to your death as you decide. You know, like what if he just said, "Oh, there's 50 coins. It doesn't matter." What if he just snagged one immediately instead of flailing and falling? So that, you know, or that, like, especially if all the ones that Batman threw were unscarred. So then if he grabs a different coin, then it's going to come up good and he's going to let them go. You know, because now he knows that Two-Face has like a 1 in 25 chance of picking his scarred coin. So even if Two-Face didn't lose his balance, he would have let them go. Like, I guess that's the question. Did he know that Two-Face would fall to his death, and why didn't he stop him from falling to his death? As he has just recently proved, less than a minute ago, that like he can do that. He can just... Or maybe he's only got 2 grappling hooks and he already wasted them on.
I was thinking
Doc
that.
and
Maybe
Rudy
he's like,
and Robin.
"Sorry, dude."
Yeah, it could be like Robin's just like, "You didn't save him." It's like, "Hey, you know, last time I checked, I only had 2 grappling hooks." So
Yeah.
it's like there's a third one right there. Well, what do you know? Well,
Well, what do you know? I do have 3.
it's like I didn't have any. Playing out of grappling hooks, it just zips up to the top of it.
Maybe Robin points it out and he's like, "Oh, the old suit only had 2. I don't know. Alfred must have put another one in."
What the hell? I'll remember that for next time.
Good to know.
Although another person though who did have beef with this ending was Peter David, the guy who wrote the novelization of Batman Forever.
That's because he changed everything
Okay.
about this.
He just went off look here. Just a bit of a rebel, this guy. Just decided to write his own story, pretty much.
I'll read you what he's got here, because it's quite different. For one thing, when Bruce does the whole your coin, you're always in 2 minds about everything. But instead of flipping up the coins, because maybe Peter David knows like that's just from the animated series, I'm not writing that in. Batman takes out a batarang, flings it, knocks the coin out of the air, and Two-Face flails, falls, but then he lands on a girder, like another girder, and clinging on for dear life, catches the coin. And so it says, Two-Face slammed against one of the lower girders. It was bone-jarring, but his crazed strength and determination were enough to enable him to cling both to the coin and the gun. He twisted himself around, bracing his feet, clinging tenaciously like a bat. Did you think it would be that easy? Did you? After everything that was between us, Batman, after the promises you made, you, the hero, the upholder of justice, and look what you did to us. Look, because he blames Batman for him getting scarred, basically.
Right. Yeah.
And so from above, Robin shouts down, and Robin says, "And look what you did to us." And Two-Face peers up and says, "What?" And Robin responds with, "You go around acting like that coin is making all the decisions, but it's all bull. It's not the coin, it's you. You called me gutless. God, you were so damned gutless. I feel sorry for you." And with a snarl, Two-Face brought up his gun and aimed at Robin. Robin pressed on relentlessly, his arms and legs starting to tire. "You don't have the guts to admit Batman was human and couldn't do everything. He's a better man than you'll ever be, and you're passing judgment on him? How about you, Hotshot? What's that coin say about you? You're so busy passing judgment on everyone and everything except the guy who's really on trial here. I bet you don't even have the nerve to try challenging the hand of fate yourself. See if it pats you in the back or slaps you down. Go on, do it. Forget about your coin. Decide for yourself. About yourself, you pathetic monster. Do it." And so Two-Face stares up at him for an eternity as the water crashes below, and then he flips the coin. It spun, hanging there in the air, and then descended. Two-Face plucked it out of the air, looking at it. He shook his head. Without looking at Robin, he said, "It seems we were right the first time. You are a man after our own heart, and you managed to rip it out." He chuckled softly. "You owe us, kid." And then he released his hold on the girder, and he made no sound as he descended, none at all. So Two-Face willingly kills himself in that version of after Robin psychs him out, basically. And it's a different ending. And it's kind of like, yeah, because then in the aftermath of that, Robin says, "I didn't want him to do that." And Batman's like, "That was Harvey's decision. There's nothing more you could have done." Yeah, it's a different workaround for the situation. Yeah. And it's like, yeah, I liked it. It would have been a bit more complex of what's going on here.
Yeah,
it
don't
brings
hate
up the question. It's kind of like in, was it No Country for Old Men? Remember that movie? At the end, because the Chigurh, Anthony, was it Anthony? Well, Chigurh, the
Anton,
guy, Anton Chigurh, yeah, he flips that coin. And there's a bit at the end where he's in the same room as the girlfriend of the main character that he killed before. And he's like, heads or tails, and she's like, don't do that. Don't pretend like it's the coin that makes the decision. You're gonna kill me or you're not, but it's your call. It's not the coin's call. Don't be such a coward. And that's the question of Two-Face. Like, is he the man or is he the coin? Like if he's not, because if the entirety of his decision making capabilities are on the coin, then the coin is Two-Face, not him.
Yeah. I think, again, earlier in this movie, we saw him flipping the coin, waiting for it to give him the result that he actually wanted.
Yeah.
So
there you go,
is totally his decision.
Yeah.
Like, he's just using it as a crutch.
It's so he can basically sort of explain himself. It's like, well, I didn't do the bad thing. It was the coin. It's the coin. It wasn't me.
Yeah, so is he shifting responsibility of those decisions onto the coin just to make the decisions that he actually wants to do? Because I don't like that Two-Face. I like a Two-Face that is definitely pinning everything, no matter what happens, on the coin flip. If it comes up good, he's like, "Hey, great, I'm your pal.
I prefer that.
See you later." I like that better. I think that's a more interesting counterpoint to Batman.
Yeah, I definitely prefer that. And I think that going this route, it makes it kind of like, well, he knows that what he's doing is wrong, so he needs the coin to land a certain way to justify it and remove it from his hands.
Yeah.
So he knows he's doing evil.
Yeah. That's good. It's interesting they had a version of Robin who was as world-wise to know that. To be like, I see. You're just using that as a justification for your actions. Like, it's all been you the whole time. And it would have been actually an interesting to go down that route of, like, if you tie that into all the Red Book stuff, where it was like Bruce Wayne he never knew why he was Batman, really. Like, he didn't realize what was actually driving his internal guilt was this, it's a whole bunch of stuff in deleted scenes where it's like his father's last diary entry and stuff. But him going out and be willingly taking on the responsibility of being Batman has been like, this is a duty of mine, but I don't know why I'm doing it. And then having it contrasted with a villain who's kind of pretending to have, like, yes, I've left everything up to fate, but it's really his own decision. He knows why he's doing what he's doing. He's just pretending it's all down to the flip of a coin, where the hero doesn't know why he's doing what he's doing, but he's just doing it out of sheer duty and stuff. It would have been an interesting, character dynamics to investigate and stuff, but
it's like Robin is saying here, you're not crazy, you're just bitter.
Yeah.
You haven't snapped. You're not on a different reality from the rest of us. You're just a person who's super angry, and you're using this coin as a crutch.
Yeah.
And goddamn you, sir. Like, I think that's.
Should also say and mention in No Country for Old Men. Well, it's a shame Tommy Lee Jones and Javier Bardem never share a scene in that movie, because it would have been nice to see Tommy Lee Jones confronted with a coin flip and be like, wait a minute. This all seems very familiar.
As a counterpoint for this, hey, that rings a bell. Yeah, that would have been a cool scene.
Although it wouldn't surprise me though if he brought that up to the Coen brothers and they were just like, "What? You were in a Batman movie?"
Really?
No, I never saw that.
I don't think Tommy Lee Jones remembers us that well, I'll be honest.
Yeah. Oh, that'll be 100% true as well, Tommy. You'd just be like, I think something about... Did I flip a coin on The Fugitive or something?
One of those
It
movies.
must have been The Eyes of Lord Mars. I don't know. I remember having to hold a coin for a bunch on a set one time.
In the 90s. I really like as well, as we see his hand as he falls, slip slowly back into the water. And to me, it felt like a reverse Joker.
That's what I was wondering if it was a deliberate callback to the Joker. But
what happened? What happened to the Joker there? Refresh my memory. In the last, what was his death?
In '89, when the Joker is born, like he falls into the chemicals, and then the kind of ominous shot of like the hand raising up out of the chemicals with all the playing cards around and stuff. So it does. It's like that in reverse, but it's like, I wonder if they knew that, if they were doing a deliberate callback to the Joker.
Well, we've said he's basically the Joker, so here you go. It's acknowledgement that he's playing the Joker.
Yeah.
Business of like, the coin lands in his hand, but it's the good side up.
Yeah.
So that's a bit of salt in the wind, this, I think, of what we were just talking about. Like, it's like implying that there was some hope, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's two things, right?
Say
it's
that
two
the coin
things.
landed that way there. It's like, it wouldn't have landed that same way in his hand up there. It's not going to be the same flip. It's not going to...
Yeah, it wouldn't have come up good no matter what. But it means that, A, he died a good man.
Yeah.
Oh,
right?
Yeah. I like that. A bit like Darth Vader again. I keep bringing him up.
Oh, it's also it's like that Harvey Dent died rather than Two-Face.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Maybe Harvey is at peace.
Assuming this isn't one of Batman's fake out coins, right?
Yeah.
True.
Well, that's the thing. Could be. It well could be.
Yeah.
It should be like
But he
a
died
bunch
a
of
good
coins
man.
just dropping around all over the damn place when he lands in there, to be
That's
fair.
not as artistic, Niall.
I couldn't help but
They
think
should
that
at least
this...
hear some splashes and some bouncing off
Yeah.
rocks.
Ting, 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 ting. Some other coins.
We should say as well, because Tom Taylor pointed out when he was on the other week that like the thing, the booby trap that landed down that caused the wreckage at the bottom of this was like a giant coin going down. So it is weird. Like, Two-Face has landed on what visually looked like a flipping coin.
Oh, yeah.
In previous scenes and
I
stuff.
didn't even think about that.
It's a little bit of poetic justice there.
But Batman, though, he can't mourn his old buddy, can he? Because he's got more to do. The Riddler. He's got to deal with him.
Yeah. Should also note as well, though, a little quick look into... Well, that's one thing. One quick note is that Joel Schumacher in the commentary says, like, we wanted to leave Two-Face's fate ambiguous in case we wanted to bring him back for a sequel. There's no ambiguity here.
There's no ambiguity.
He is 100% dead.
Well, he's underwater. But I do think, I just want to say this last shot of the coin landing in his hand, that's one of those shots that to me is one of those really frustratingly difficult shots to actually get. Like, to just have the coin actually land in his palm. Like, they either got to film it in reverse and yank the coin out of his palm, but I don't think from judging from the water, it's not filmed in reverse. So do you think there's like a magnet under the glove? It looks like there could be a bit of padding there, so that if the coin lands there, it lands well and sticks. Because I'm sure there's somebody that's a stunt arm. I doubt that's actually Tommy Lee Jones's hand. This is a stand-in's hand, but I don't think his whole body's underwater. I think they've just got like a sleeve on him, and then he's just outside of the camera's range. Just having his elbow underwater or something like that. I don't know. But I think this would be one of those. This is one of those shots that I could see in a director's commentary saying, "We took all day trying to get this damn coin to land in the hand and get this shot." Because I think in a storyboard this looks great, but I think in execution this could be deceptively really hard to get.
Just imagine too. There is some guy out there in the world who's like, every time this movie's on TV and stuff, is like, "See that hand? That's mine. That's not Tommy's hand. That's movie magic, baby." But one other thing I did look into quickly is that, Two-Face died a bunch of times, most notably in The Dark Knight, where they just killed him for no goddamn good reason.
Yeah.
But he's also died in the comics several times in a variety of different ways, mostly in Elseworlds stuff, but some of them are pretty damn fun. For example, you have Batman Crimson Mist, which is the third of Doug Moench. I'm not too sure how to pronounce his name. But yeah, he did a whole story, 3-book thing where Batman was a vampire. He fought Dracula and was turned into like a vicious killer vampire.
Awesome.
Starts slaughtering all his enemies and stuff, and eventually he was killed. But then, because Scarecrow and whatnot were overrunning the town, Alfred goes and takes the stake back out of his heart, resurrects the killer Batman, and Alfred, Jim Gordon, and Harvey Dent, who is scarred as Two-Face at that point, they try to team up. But of course, at one point, Two-Face double crosses them because he's Two-Face.
Yeah.
And Batman then, he attempts to shoot Batman with a crossbow, and Batman just catches both bolts as they come towards him, and then jams them in to either side of Harvey Dent's head, and says, like,
"Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! That's rough."
He also was in Batman Mask, which is where he was essentially Two-Face was the Phantom of the Opera. And it was a whole big story where like he was just trying to kill,
classic.
But he has a fight on stage with Batman, and he dies under the giant chandelier that was rigged.
Beautiful.
It's in Phantom of the Opera, and of course Joel Schumacher will probably appreciate that because he went on to make Phantom of the Opera,
which we may be covering in the hiatus.
Yeah. But and my personal favorite though is from The Doom That Came to Gotham by Mike Mignola.
That needs an exclamation mark at the end as well.
But that's one of those Elseworlds stories. It's like a H.P. Lovecraft sort of thing set in like the 1800s, where like it's old school, like original Herbert West Reanimator kind of.
So this sounds like my kind of thing.
Perfect. It's perfect for Mike Mignola too. I can totally see it. I think I might have glanced it, but this sounds like it's right up his alley. Tentacles and all that kind of stuff.
But yeah, that's exactly what happens. Harvey Dent's totally good guy, and he's becomes embroiled in a plot by Talia al Ghul to bring back Ra's al Ghul to resurrect him from the other side. And what's the name of the god again? It's like
Cthulhu.
It's not Cthulhu in that. It's like Isamoth or something like that. Like some other.
Rock Shoggoth. Or
Iog Sotha, I think.
There's too many of these things. Okay. I can't remember them all.
Yog Soggoth, yeah. Yog Soggoth. There's R'lyeh, and then there's Yog Soggoth, and there's a C. There's a C one too. Damon is the C one, I think.
But
anyway,
Harvey is he has an altercation with Poison Ivy. Again, harking back to the animated series, actually. But and then he starts coming out with like hives and stuff on one side of his face, and then eventually it erupts into like tumors and stuff, and eventually it becomes like one side of his body is this hideous tentacle monster, which then is revealed to be the gateway into another dimension. So the climax of the book is like Batman coming in, finding like one half of normal Harvey Dent, and his other half is like this tentacle monster with a huge interdimensional doorway just sort of like sitting in the middle of him, and he's just kind of like, hey Bruce, that kind of. And then the whole climax takes place inside Harvey Dent.
Nice.
Or like they have to prevent the oncoming apocalypse that Ra's al Ghul is trying to bring forth with this giant demon inside.
That is wild.
And of course, to stop that, they have to kill Harvey Dent on the way out. But
cool.
that the Doom That Came to Gotham is. I'm not a big Elseworlds kind of guy, so sometimes they annoy me because it's just like I'd rather just read about the actual characters doing actual things.
I can't get enough of the Elseworlds. I love it. I'm like, line them up, bring it on.
Yeah,
just keep it going forever and ever.
I just want different takes on these stories. I think it's fun.
They're hit and miss. Like I will say that they're hit and miss. Sometimes they're garbage, but like I always applaud it. I'm just like, yeah, let's hear it, let's do it. I want more Elseworlds, all that stuff, and like because like there's a Dazzler Thor. That's canon. There's an Earth out there where Dazzler picked up the hammer, so now she's like a lightning god, and she has the power to make light into lasers and other cool stuff. And I'm just like, that's the coolest thing. That's the coolest thing I've ever heard. And so I just want to. I like the idea of the Amalgam comics, the Amalgam universe. I thought that was really cool, where they had the Bat Claw, and there was. What was it? The Riddler and Kingpin had melded to become the Big Question. I love it. I love it. But that was hit and miss too, right? So anyway, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I can't say like I'm not an Elseworlds guy, but like the Doom that came to Gotham is definitely worth picking up. I would recommend it if you're
Yeah, I'll stick that on the list. I'm a big fan of Mignola, so.
Oh yeah, so by all means, go out and pick it up. It's well worth a
sounds
nosy.
like a Patreon episode.
Yeah.
The Doctor Doom, Doctor Strange, Triumph and Torment one, that was Mignola. That's one of the best comics I've ever read. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
He's really good. It's the Doctor Doom's mother's soul was captured by the devil, and so he studies magic to go back to hell and rescue his mother's soul. And he gets the help of Doctor Strange to do it, because there's a contest every 100 years or something like that to see who the best sorcerer on Earth is, and Doctor Doom enters it. Everybody's like, whoa, what are you doing here? But then he actually comes out on top, or second. No, he saves Doctor Strange's life and comes in second. So then Doctor Strange owes him a favor, and he says, okay, well, I'll tell you what, help me go to hell and rescue my mom. So it's like, I don't know, it's awesome. And it's Mike Mignola before Hellboy, I think just pre-Hellboy. Anyway, great stuff. Highly recommended. If Triumph and Torment, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's good to have a couple of recommendations on any episode for people to go out and have a nosy into.
I also recommend Mignola's Twitter, because he's been drawing like random characters and auctioning them off recently. Like he drew some Pokemon that are fantastic.
His Instagram and his Twitter for the last 3 months.
Oh, I think we follow it
drawer.
with the official
Incredible.
Bat-Minute one, but you don't really use that to go scrolling much. So.
Yeah.
But
Take a look.
I think
You're
though
in
before
for a
we go
treat.
up into the wreckage of the Riddler, we should just have a little moment of pause here. Like, that's the end of Two-Face. We've talked about him for 50 weeks or something now.
It feels
and,
like both 100 years and 5 minutes.
Yeah. Again, we don't
End
know
of an
because
era.
whatever could come down the line, and whatever form Batman it takes after Batman and Robin, we could end up talking about Two-Face again in some other movie way down the line. We don't know.
Could happen.
But for now, this is the end of Two-Face.
R.I.P. Press F.
Yeah, press F. Wait, enough thinking about it. I think this is the last minute we see Chris O'Donnell in it as well. I think he doesn't show up after that shot.
No, come on. What?
Really?
I think you see a silhouette running towards the camera at the end. That could be Chris O'Donnell, could be somebody else. But I think that's the last we see of him in the movie. I don't think he's in the last scene. It's Alfred, Bruce, and Chase Meridian.
This is the beauty of doing it minute by minute, right? Because we're not watching ahead either. Like, we've seen the movie a million times, but that's not the sort of detail that you just remember. So I'm sitting here thinking, Niall's lying. He's just winding me up.
This could be us done with Chris O'Donnell until we see a whole bunch more of him next year.
Oh, yeah, baby.
In your research of Two-Face's deaths, did you ever come across one where he was cut in half?
No, I don't think so. No.
Because that would be kind of like a Two-Face Death 101 thing. If you think he'd be get
Split him down the middle.
a timber saw or something like that, like the old 1930s serials, like he'd get run along a timber saw and cut in half up or what was that movie, the sort of Western horror with Kurt Russell there, the Bone one,
Bone Tomahawk.
Bone Tomahawk,
God.
where that guy gets
that
that rather horrifying the Two-Face death there.
That's a weird movie because it's like, first hour is like, this is like a kind of pleasant, peaceful Western. And then the last half hour is like, this is a fucking nightmare factory. Jesus Christ.
Well, it was pretty brutal. It starts with that guy getting his throat cut, right? So that's like,
that is true,
it was pretty brutal.
But there was one where, there's an Elseworlds one where Batman teams up with Tarzan. And
what?
Harvey Dent he's called like Phineas Dent or something, and he gets mauled by a lion.
Oh.
And at the end, he's taken over part of Africa or something, and there's something where Batman thinks he's been, trapped under some rocks or something, and he just leaves. He's like, okay, that's fair enough. But it turns out Tarzan knows that Two-Face is still alive, and then he allows him to get killed in an avalanche. And he says to him, like, if I let Batman take you back to Gotham, you'll just get put in trial. That's his form of justice, but this is my form of justice. It's just to just let you die. And it's like, reading that, I was like, holy shit, apparently Tarzan's way hardcore. Like, I didn't realize he was that malicious a guy.
That's the jungle, right? Like nature is metal and all that. Like jungle's not gonna nobody dies of natural causes out in the wild, like that's Tarzan's got that edge to him for sure.
I've always been, every time they reboot Tarzan, I'm like, oh, who cares? Jesus Christ, Tarzan, who gives a crap?
Yeah.
But now knowing this, it's like, apparently Tarzan's hardcore.
Yeah,
So
let's
like,
reboot it.
Yeah, bring him on.
Yeah.
I was hoping that last one was going to be good, the one with Skarsgård.
Oh, yeah. I never actually ended up even seeing it.
It was not good.
Oh.
No. There's Margot Robbie as well, though. That was just...
Good hobby. Christoph Waltz, I think,
Yeah.
was the villain.
Jeez. What a cast.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh, that's a shame.
Too
That's
bad.
a shame. Yeah, I don't remember anybody
Samuel L.
talking
Jackson
about it
is in
after
it,
it came
if I
out.
remember correctly.
But but so yeah, we do get a little brief foray up into what's happening with the Riddler up here.
Oh, and that guy is not looking well. Like, dude, do you need some water?
He's looking rough. He's looking rough. He needs an iron brew and a cigarette is what he needs.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what he needs.
I've looked like this after many a night out.
Yeah. I think you get a real. I think everybody felt a little sympathetic, like, ugh, been there, when you see this. But he looks deformed here, though. Like this is what like the mask is Does it look? It looks to me like the mask is melted onto his face, and he is deformed from having so much knowledge pumped into his brain. So his head's turned into like a water balloon of knowledge, and but he looks normal enough later in Arkham. So,
yeah, it must reverse or
I don't know.
something. Because he's going full. He's like Palpatine here. He's been deformed by the evil energies.
Yeah, did you ever see Altered States?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
So you know how he's sort of flipping through evolutionary periods of humanity where he's actually like growing thumbs on his feet and he's actually like becoming like weird future alien and weird Cro-Magnon versions of himself. So this is the part. This is also one of the scenes that made me ask the question: is he getting intelligence pumped into him or intelligence sucked out of him? Because he also kind of looks like he's reverted to like a Cro-Magnon kind of look here. He's got this giant jaw and this giant brow, and he's having trouble forming words. So I'm like, is he just so full of information now that he can't form rational thoughts, or is he so devoid of intelligence now that he's having trouble remembering any word at all? Like, I don't know what's happening in this scene.
I think it's just that his mind is just a complete jumble now, so he can't really. Yeah, it's everything's just all in there, but it's the neural pathways have been fried, so it's just all a jumble of random information that he's just too many questions, as he'll say next week.
Oh, that'd be great. And maybe he just starts blurting out random facts that aren't appropriate to the situation because he just can't keep it in.
Yeah.
I thought actually you've almost kind of redeemed a thing I don't like that Jim Carrey's doing here, because I thought it was a bit too. Because I loved him last week when he was gloating smug Riddler and flipping the cane around and stuff.
And that sinister edge you were talking about, right? Like it really comes across before, and then the minutes before this, where I'm like, yeah, he goes evil, he goes dark, and it's great. It's great.
But here it's like, I think the way he's kind of sitting with the legs crossed and he's got his the way he has his arm up, it kind of looks like he's just like comically trying to be like, I am so angry. And like, I think I can even remember people laughing in the cinema when this happened and stuff, as if he was just like, he's just annoyed the Batman's defeated him. But when you said there about the Cro-Magnon man, if he had reverted back to kind of like a primate state, because it almost looked like a kind of monkeyish kind of way of holding his arm and stuff, like he was sitting in that fashion, that would redeem it. If that's what they were going for, like that's why he's in that pose. But I think it's more likely that Jim Carrey was like, it's a little comedy beat where he's just like, he's sitting in the wreckage as if he's a really frustrated customer waiting for someone to bring his coffee or something. It's taken way too long.
You know what it also is? He's sitting like the Thinker statue.
Oh my God! How have we never noticed this?
Yeah, that's true.
He's in the wreckage of his Thinker statues, sitting like the Thinker statue, either on purpose or not, like he's taking refuge in that image, or it's just a coincidental pose that he's in after being destroyed.
I think I'm going
Think
with the
about what
latter.
you've done, Riddler.
I think the latter, because he looks like he's dying.
Yeah.
I think because we had a whole thing where like recurring visual motifs throughout the movie, of course, like Grecian statues and whatnot throughout the city. But Edward Nygma did have a thing where, like, when he was designing his costume, he put his head on top of the statue of Michelangelo's David and stuff.
Oh,
and he had
okay.
a whole thing where he kind of, in the last minute when he's like, oh, tell me. Like, he splayed himself across the seat as if he was like a Raphaelite painting of some sort. So it could be like this is a guy, he has an affinity for fine art. He wants to become that kind of figure. But now it's a bitter irony that he is doing the thinker pose, but he is a complete wreck of a person where everything's in tatters. It's all falling down quite literally on top of his head.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's an interesting one. That also, if they're going for the thinker, that redeems it, kind of looking like he's just like, I've been waiting on hold for 25 minutes. I'm so angry about it, which is kind of the vibe I get from it at times. And I'm like, Jim, damn it, dude! Like, you could get good, and then you could just take it away straight away again. He's been so up and down in this movie for me, but.
Well, we normally do ask the guests about their history with the movie, but is there anything else you want to say about your connection with the film?
Me?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't, or both of us, I guess. I don't know. I saw it when it came out, and I'm really glad I got these minutes. Like, if I could have, I think if I could have picked these minutes, I would have picked these minutes. Because this is the defeat of both of them, and it's the defeat of both of them in a way that I think they've both I think Jim Carrey's been done a disservice by Hollywood and life, and looking at this seal, this still of him curled up in the thinker's pose, all completely broken down, and with all the amazing Rick Baker makeup. I kind of think that's just like the way his soul is now. Like, I liked his performance here, and I really liked Tommy Lee Jones's getup, but I really didn't like his portrayal of. It just seemed like such a waste of his natural, God-given deadpan talents. The man can look like he's carved from rock and be emotionless, and you made him try to out-wacky Jim Carrey. What a horrible idea! What a horrible idea! So this movie was a movie that I really didn't like, but I can really appreciate the art direction, especially. It's such a spectacle. It's so beautiful, and I can appreciate the attempt. But this, to me, is still suffering from the curse of the 60s Batman, where they're still not taking comic book movies seriously, because they're acknowledging, they make hundreds of millions of dollars at the box office, so we can put hundreds of millions of dollars into the budget, and we can get A-listers, and we can treat it seriously in that respect.
Yeah.
But the actual, meat of the film is still flippantly disregarded with any kind of depth of emotion or detail. Like, how does Harvey Dent get there? Oh, I don't know. Should we kill him? Sure, I guess. I don't know.
It's like, whatever.
There's all these decisions that are like, nobody will care. It's a comic book movie. And it's kind of like the way that people disrespect animation too. They're like, it's a cartoon. And in some ways, it's got its strengths, because like the Jester was the only person that was allowed to make fun of the king and not be executed. So that was his special place in the pantheon of court. But so in the same way, you can do that. You can do the same thing with animation, is you can be really biting political commentary without getting banned or shut down or causing a scandal, because hey, it's just a cartoon. And so with comic book movies, you can do the same thing. There's a lot of amazing commentary in comic books that kind of flew under the radar because it's not in novel format or whatever. It's not.
Oh, people always miss the like the politics and things like that, don't they?
Yeah, right. So there's some, and this to me, this movie marks a point where they're still not giving the right amount of gravitas to the property, but the spectacle of it, they're just on the cusp of taking it seriously financially, if not sort of philosophically and materially.
Well, what about you, Rory? Were you like whipped up into Batman Forever frenzy back in '95 like I was, where it's just like...
Not really, because I would have been 3, so...
Okay.
But would I have been 3? Yeah. Yeah, I would. So I wouldn't. But like I've said, my history with this movie, I think I said this when I was on for Returns. It's just always kind of been there, as long as I
Yeah.
remember. It's kind of how I remember Batman with like these 4 films and the animated series kind of formed what I think of as Batman in the early days. So, and to me, like at that young age, I don't think I noticed the difference between the Tim Burton ones and the Schumacher ones.
Yeah, I didn't either. No.
Because it's not immediately obvious to a child the differences. Obviously, there's a mile between them now, but
Yeah.
yeah, I thought this was fun when I was a child, and I had good fun watching it. So, and I loved Jim Carrey obviously at the time. So, that was kind of it. It was on TV quite a bit, if I remember correctly. I think.
Oh God, yeah.
So
it was all constant.
yeah. Yeah,
Constantly.
I feel like these were a lot. This and Superman 2 were always on for some reason. I don't know why those ones, but yeah. So that's kind of it.
On that bombshell, we will depart. We'll head off into the dark, dark night. Would you both like to tell people one more time where you can be found online? I think we'll flip it this time. Duncan, you go first.
You can find me at chronologicallyspeaking.com. Come down and check out our exploration of 1982's Tron 1 minute at a time, and I'm happy to report that it holds up to that kind of microscopic eye. It's a wonderful, wonderful film. So come revel in it, and listen to me and wonderful guests talk about what a great film it is, and also its failings. And you can go to look for me on Twitter at Chronologically Speaking, and go to the Facebook page Chronologically Speaking Minute by Minute listeners page.
Cool. Do that, everybody. And Rory.
Yep, I host a podcast called Dog Care Presents, where we teach you about a new topic every week. I've done Batman a long time ago. Can't remember if that was any good. It was in the early days, so maybe don't go for that. But yeah, we do comic book characters and stuff like that, and a lot of movies and stuff. But also history, folklore, I don't know, science. We've done topics on pretty much everything you could think of at this point. 150 something episodes in.
Wow,
so
nice.
Yeah, come check it out. You can find it wherever you've found this, probably, and at dogcarenetwork.com, and follow me on Twitter at Rory M. Spence and at Dogcare Network on Twitter and Instagram.
Hey, so do that as well, and come speak to us, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that. Buy some merch on TeePublic. That's always very lovely. And one final thing. Rory, because you didn't get the riddle, I have to flip a coin for your life or death.
Oh.
For your survival, heads or tails?
Heads.
Heads. Okay, here we go. Dun, 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 dun. Heads, you live. Oh, we had a death last week. So.
I was very confident.
The coin does not lie.
Yeah. Had it been heads and you lost, we would have to have overloaded your brain with knowledge until your head literally burst. So.
That is literally what we do here on the show on a weekly basis. If you get it wrong, that's
Should
that's
maybe
how we
tell
do it.
people that when they sign up to come on.
Nah, we don't want to
than right
dissuade anyone. You know.
I think you'll find, Rory, it was in the fine print of the contract.
I
you
never read
signed,
that.
So.
Addendum 28. And yes, on that bombshell of survival, we will head off into the dark, dark night. So we'll see you again on Monday for more Batminute Forever.
Next time, the ruins of the Riddler. With his physiognomy disfigured and his faculties fried, it appears Edward Nygma has been finally nullified. But as a crusader steps forward to lend his foe a hand, which serious house on serious earth will soon be sent another maniacal madman? Find out next week. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.
Ba-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.